Hello there. Once again, you decide to take another revealing peek back into history.
What famous date shall I set it to today?
Once again, it's time for Throwback Thursday, a second chance to look at some truly awful podcasts. No, wait, a second chance to see how far Vicis Interimo has come over the last 8 years. New episodes will be released pretty much weekly, but Thursdays I've reserved for throwbacks to see how far we've come. A lot of the information on here no longer applies, whether that be businesses or links that may not work anymore, so be advised of that. But again, I want to thank the patrons that we have at this time, though they may not have been here the first time these episodes were recorded. I am thanking them again because they're helping us move forward with our new episodes. And those are patrons such as at Lonely Bob, Big Al V, and Goldafish. In the meantime, I hope that you enjoy what you hear.
Welcome to 30 Minutes to Kill.
On this week's episode, Matt Saxon is joined by Jamie from Horrorphilia. They'll be discussing A Tale of Two Sisters, which according to Internet Movie Database was released in 2003 in South Korea. IMDb gives it a 7.5 out of 10 stars. Rotten Tomatoes says it's 87% fresh. Their consensus on the movie is, restrained but disturbing, A Tale of Two Sisters is a creepily effective and at times confusing horror movie.
And now, the art of Dwayne Eddy, the noise of twang, the sound of Peter Gunn.
We normally don't talk about our merchandise, but if you want to help support the Vicis Interimo podcast, be sure to go to cafepress.com/bagend. There you can find a couple of different Vicis Interimo t-shirts, as well as our traditional Miskatonic University t-shirt.
Yeah?
Episode 15. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us.
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to everybody. There's one of those awkward pauses, and I guess I won't edit that one out.
That was so just random. You went from totally silent to, like, hollering, welcome.
Okay. Well, that brings up one of the points that we wanted to talk about in our Laid to Rest segment, which is the lack of pauses. I'm going to leave it just like this. Yeah, well, because you were complaining or saying or noting, at any rate, that
complain.
Wow, that's off air. We'll talk about that. Okay, so what I was going to say was, in previous podcasts, you may have heard us mention or refer to pauses and silences that weren't there.
It just makes us sound crazy.
Well, not us so much, because it's always you coming in afterwards.
Yeah, thanks. See? I can complain about that, can I?
Yes, absolutely. So anyhow, yeah, generally what I do is once this has been recorded, I do a little bit of editing, though it may not seem like it this episode. I go in and I try to shorten the show any way that I can, because we drone on way too long, or at least I do.
I don't.
Okay. Well, there are sometimes pauses that we take to think and such. I see a big blank spot when I'm looking at peaks and valleys and just edit those right out. So it saves us a few seconds a few seconds, not a few minutes. But anyhow, it saves us time. So
that would be a big pause.
Yes, it would be.
All 3 minutes of dead air.
Yeah. But no, so I cut those down in an effort to save you, the listener, a little bit of, a little bit of grief, a little bit of annoyance. Hopefully keep you with us for a little bit longer here. That's one of the things that I wanted to address. One of the other things, speaking of time wasters and taking too long, last episode, I made a point to thank everybody that had enjoyed. Wow, I'm going to edit that part.
They maybe enjoyed it.
Everybody that I had acknowledged that had joined our webpage. Amongst them was Ro. Rocio said thanks for the shout out on the show, and
Hi, Ro. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I couldn't help it.
That's all right. So anyhow, next time I probably won't read through all the list, the entire list of people, but I do. It's important for me to let you, the listener, know how important you are to us and how we really appreciate this. It originally started not as a joke necessarily, but the 30 minutes to kill was the idea that I was going to be wasting people's time for 30 minutes. We also received another email from Jason from Horophilia, and he says that Wind Chill, which was the movie that we reviewed last time, was, he believes, available only in limited release at the theaters. So it maybe didn't get all the play, or maybe it didn't do well enough for test audiences to get picked up to have a major run.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And where we were living at the time, only the really big movies, I think, made it up north, so...
Yeah, definitely.
Because we definitely, I had never even heard of it.
I remember seeing an ad for it once, maybe once or twice, and I remember hearing that George Clooney had something to do with it or was producing it.
Never mind. I was going to say I should maybe stick to acting, but... Sorry. It wasn't that bad.
Okay. So what else? Also, one other thing that I was going to mention is Gonzo from Horophilia contacted me about the music that I used in the last podcast. And I generally don't talk about the music, and I just put in what I want because I've been told by so many people that my music taste is crap that I just refuse to talk about it and go ahead and do what I want. Why are you laughing?
Wow. I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Notice it was one of my discs that Gonzo liked.
Oh, gosh, whatever. Whatever. All right. Anyhow, yeah, it actually was. So for people that were asking, or for Gonzo that was interested, it is the propeller heads, and that was on the Dex Drums and Rock and Roll disc.
It is a great CD.
It is awesome.
Great.
Got music on there from The Matrix. There's there's a James Bond one on there. Her Secret Service. Yeah, let's move on to the review. And unfortunately, it's just Jamie and I. Too bad you couldn't join us, Laurie.
Oh, I think you guys did fine on your own.
Okay.
I wasn't there to mess things up, so no.
Oh, okay. Well, anyhow, I think they're going to cut our late to rest segment here and move on. So enjoy the review, and again, thanks for coming back, folks. We really appreciate it.
Well, I kicked around a lot since high school. I worked a lot of nowhere gigs, from keyboard man in a rock and star band to hall and boss including the big rigs.
Hi, Jamie. How you doing?
I'm good.
Welcome back to Vicis Interimo. We finally get a chance to review a movie together, or share some of our thoughts on one of them. And that is, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the actual title of it, but it's A Tale of Two Sisters in English. This was actually remade into American movie called The Uninvited, but we're going to be reviewing the original version of A Tale of Two Sisters. What did you think about it?
I really enjoyed it. I like the look and feel of it. I figured out pretty much the movie in 40 minutes of it. I guess because I've seen so many movies, I kind of gave me, I don't know, I guess I was kind of knowing what to look for, and a couple of hints gave me some ideas.
Yeah.
And so I kind of figured it out, and I thought when I figured it out it would kind of ruin the movie, but it ended up being okay, and I kind of appreciated it, that what they were trying to do, that just because I caught it, I'm sure not everybody else caught it. So, yeah, I really appreciate it.
It's funny that you mentioned that and stuff, because I wish I had marked down the time, but about the same point, I'm going to say in the movie, the same thing happened where I thought about some things that had happened earlier on, and then, like you said, I've seen so many of these at this point that it's like, I kind of wonder if, and, well, we may give a couple of spoilers away in this, and so if anybody doesn't want to hear this, I suggest you go ahead and stop the podcast right here and go check out the movie and then come back and listen to the rest of it, because there will be some spoilers ahead here.
So we're both, before we get to that, we're both recommending it, right?
I think so, but I've got a rather low recommend on it. For me, it didn't work. I liked a lot of the cinematography and the way that it was shot. I appreciated what they were doing, but the end of the film kind of messed things up for me. Yeah, what did you think about the end of it? Did you think it was going to end and then it kind of kept going, or were you into it and kind of felt that it was okay the way that it ran?
Yeah, being that I figured out most of it, I didn't figure out the very, very end how it actually goes down. So I kind of like that. As far as watching it, it's on Netflix Instant Queue. So if someone has Netflix, you're not really paying extra for it. I would say it's definitely worth that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would say that if you can get it and stuff, it's worth checking out. And yeah, that's the way I watched it too, was Netflix InstaView. And for me, one of the things I was going to bring up is the sound. Because I don't normally if I'm going to watch a movie or review it or whatever, I sit down, in the living room. We, got the TV in there and stuff, but we don't have a really good sound system per se. I mean, it's just the regular speakers for the TV. Since I was watching this on the computer, I had that stereo, and man, that was some creepy sound effects. Did you find that was that way for you, or did you just not notice it as much?
I did notice that, and I did think it was creepy, but to that point, I'd already figured it out, so it wasn't really as creepy because, I knew it.
You knew what was coming, kinda?
Yeah, I just knew that it wasn't what you were painting out to be, so I kind of took away it's like the man behind the curtain. I kind of knew at this point.
Yeah.
So
that's a good way to describe it, because it's the same thing I was thinking of here. It's kind of like, you already know how the trick is done, but it's just kind of waiting to see how it gets there. Well, the story is the sisters come home from the mental hospital, basically at the beginning, or at least that's the way that they show it or they read it. I was reading the synopsis of it, and the synopsis of it didn't really give a good, clear indication of really how the movie went down, I don't think. But at any rate, the daughters come home from the mental institution. You see them going back to live with a stepmother a cruel stepmother, and a dad that just seems kind of ambivalent about the whole thing. But yeah, like you said, right from the beginning, I had a feeling that things weren't the way they were cracked up to be. Either the mother wasn't going to be as wicked a stepmom as you thought she was, or, you know what I mean, right from the beginning, since I knew there was going to be a twist in it, I started trying to put things together. But yeah, like I said, about 40 minutes or so into it, it's like, what she said or what the doctor first said to her at the very beginning made me kind of wonder what was happening, and I just kind of went from there, and like you said, I kind of figured out what was happening. No, I didn't get every twist and turn for sure.
I want to get more in detail if I can, since we won't spoil it.
Uh-huh.
No, right?
No, go ahead.
The doctor part is not what did it for me. What did it for me is there's a scene to where the two sisters are sitting outside and the dad is talking to them. I noticed that the dad was only talking to one sister. He wasn't looking at her at all. He didn't say anything to her. And I was like, that just kind of caught me. I was like, he's not even looking at her. He's only looking at the other one. And then I started thinking, I was like, wait a second. All the scenes with the mom, too, he's never in there with the mom.
Yeah.
They're not all there at the same time, except one scene which had already passed the dinner table scene. And that's the only scene that I remember that they were all in the same room together. And so I was kind of building in my head. I was like, well, let me go back. So I stopped at where I was at and went back to the dinner table scene to actually rewatch that scene. And in that scene, they all are there, but the mom is sitting there talking, yapping, and you can tell that the dad doesn't even want to hear it.
Right.
He's not paying attention to her. And the dad says, "You can go ahead and clean up. You did a good job." And he leaves. As soon as he leaves, the mom starts talking to the girls. When the dad comes back in the room, they stop talking. She gives him the medicine. He walks off. They stop talking again. I was like, okay, this makes more sense now to me, because if there's only one person in the room, they wouldn't be talking to someone else when the dad was there.
Right.
But as soon as the dad wasn't there, they started talking to each other. So I knew I'd already pretty much figured out that the younger daughter was dead or something was happening to her. So I knew that. I wasn't really sure. I wasn't sure if she was dressing up in the mom's clothes and acting like the mom. I wasn't really sure what was going on. And then the scene where the two family members came, I was like thinking like, okay, if the mom's there, where are the two daughters the whole time? You never see them the whole time. They're never there. I'm like, so it has to be her. But again, I wasn't sure how she was actually pulling it off, because you saw a scene where she gets clothes. So I didn't know if she was wearing the clothes or what, but I just was pretty sure that the mom wasn't really there.
Yeah. And I think this is one of the movies that kind of suffered because at least for me, it suffered because it was lost in translation. You know what I mean? We were reading the subtitles, and I don't think all the nuances of it were necessarily carried over. Because I mean, this comes from an actual folk tale that people over there would be familiar with, and so I mean, it's a well-known story, so they would know how it was supposed to go. For me, seeing it and stuff, there was a few things I got kind of got tripped up on as far as exactly what was going on, and a couple of times, like you said, I had to run it back and get a feel for what was happening and who was who again.
And one other scene that gave it away, and I rewound it back as soon as I noticed it, is when she was up fighting with her mom. The dad is shaving. He looks up, and you hear the audio. You rewatch the audio, and you hear there's only one voice.
Yeah.
I caught that. I was like,
I noticed that too, but then I didn't put it together yet. I didn't put it together. Yeah.
Because it makes it look like he's like, well, they're just fighting. But again, now he's actually thinking like that crazy bitch.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the one thing, like I said, it started me being suspicious right from the beginning when the doctor said, he asked her, "Who are you today?" I think right there at the very beginning part of it. And it's like, well, what? That's a kind of a weird thing to say to somebody. But again, like I said, I hadn't figured out everything. I didn't know every twist and turn that was coming. But kind of had an inkling as to what was going on. But yeah, I did think that it was worth a watch. But like I told my wife, I told Lori that I would like to have seen an American version of it first to familiarize myself with the story. It's after saying that, I wouldn't necessarily pay to do this again. I would watch it again just to try to collect all the facts and to have it make a little bit more sense to me, you know what I mean? I'm now interested in getting the uninvited and comparing the two and seeing where they've modified the story for an American audience and stuff. So I'll have to check that one out for sure. But would that go on your top 10 list for the decade?
Probably not.
Yeah.
What about the ending? You say you didn't like the ending. What was it?
Well, the ending got too. To me, it felt like there were too many false endings, and I'm not sure if I just wanted it to hurry up and get to the point, kind of. But it just kind of felt like, okay, well, here's a place where they're going to end it and stuff. But then it turns out there was more to show you. And I mean, after you saw it, it's like, oh, well, this is why they showed me all these scenes and stuff. But it just kind of got cluttered. And that's maybe just my fault for not being able to enjoy it or following it all the way through. But it kind of got to the point where it's like, okay, I know she's crazy, so let's just move it along and stuff like that. But there was a payoff, like I said, when you get to the end of it, you find everything that happened the whole way through and stuff, finding the younger sister trapped in the cabinet and everything else that happened. That was worth waiting to see. But for me, it just, I want to say the last 10 or 15 minutes of it, there was too much for me to absorb. And like I said, maybe that's my fault for not keeping up with it.
I think he gave me some closure because I was wanting to see, because she was crazy. She's gone crazy and apparently wasn't going to get better. So we need to know what caused her that way, and it wasn't her fault that what ended up causing her to be that way. You know, so you kind of got, and the person that caused it gets it at the end. So I think that's you know.
I think that was good, and like I said, I liked all of it, but it just, with her flashing to her being dressed in the suit and stuff, and her playing all the different parts, I kind of already had it at that point, so I didn't necessarily need to see it again. But again, that was just my take on it. I wouldn't, I'm certainly not sorry that I watched it, and I would recommend that somebody else see it. But, the same thing, I'd want to discuss it with somebody afterwards, you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to, if I was sitting by myself, and this wouldn't be my pick of a movie to watch, to throw in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you were to give a rating for this, what would your rating be for it?
I don't know. Probably 7.
7? Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I think mine's going to be a little bit lower. I'm going to say probably about a 5. Yeah, it just didn't, like I said, it was okay, but not well enough to push me over the edge to say, okay, well, you know, you need to see this or whatever. Yeah.
I think the bad thing about the remake is that I've already asked people about it, and they told me it's pretty much the same thing. So you're already going to know, you know,
right.
It pretty much follows the same thing. So you're already going to know what the big secret
right.
is by watching the remake. So that's going to take a lot of it away.
Yeah.
So just going to depend on how good the actors are. Which the main thing I hear from the boys is that the main girl is really hot.
Ah, okay.
So
well, that's a plus.
They keep saying that. Yeah, they're just, the main girl's so hot. I'm like, okay, that's. But they say, that's all they really say good about the movie.
That's anything different. Okay. Because when Jason had asked me about if I had seen this one, had seen The Uninvited, and I told him yes, but I didn't realize that for whatever reason that title sounded familiar. And I thought I saw it, but obviously I haven't yet. So I'll have to check it out and compare it to the two and see. Maybe I'll revisit this at a later date, or maybe I'll up the score a little bit more, comparing the two to each other. But yeah, like I said, a 5 would be a 5 for me. So cool. So you guys got any other things coming up? Any other gigs going?
Yes, we have a new segment called Gonzo's Homework, because he just recently started watching horror movies like not even a year ago. So he has a lot of movies he hasn't seen. So every week we're each going to give him a movie that we really liked, and he's going to watch it and then report back on it.
Okay.
So his first movie he's doing that Jason gave him is Dead Alive, Peter Jackson's Dead Alive. So,
okay.
And I talked to him tonight. My movie for him is De La Morte, De La Morte.
Ah, yes.
So we're going to do those. So those are the next two he's going to do, and it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know. It's just like he's so different, and those are both Jason. Dead Alive is Jason. That's one of Jason's favorite movies of all time. I mean, he thinks that's Peter Jackson's best single movie out of everything he's ever done.
Okay.
So I mean, he really, really likes it. I haven't seen it recently. I just remember it being really, really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know, being the greatest thing that he said. But again, I haven't seen it recently. But
yeah, same here. I remember it being fun and stuff. So it'll be interesting to hear what Gonzo has to say about that.
Yeah, he'll either really like it or say it's stupid.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, but he surprised me. If you heard the one show where the end of the year he liked Let the Right One In. He liked Frailty, movies that I didn't think you would like.
Yeah, absolutely. Nope. I see that, and that's one of the things that I was talking about when I did the interviews and stuff too. Was if it's if it's a quality picture and even he likes it, which I mean it puts a lot of it just off on him. But I'm mean that more of a general statement of even if a non-horror fan likes these movies, then generally they're pretty solid. So. That's cool. Yeah, he definitely had some good picks there at the end of the year too. So sweet. So okay, I guess that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Thanks for joining me, and look forward to being able to sit in on one of your podcasts here coming up soon. And if nothing else, defend myself.
All right.
All right. So we'll talk to you again.
Okay.
Thank God it's Friday!
The story is true. Dragnet. Dragnet.
You got a lot of repressed feelings, don't you, Friday? Don't you, Friday? You got a lot of repressed feelings, don't you, Friday? Don't you, Friday? Don't you, Friday? Must be what keeps your hair up.
We normally don't talk about our merchandise, but if you want to help support the Vicis Interimo podcast, be sure to go to cafepress.com/bagend. There you can find a couple of different Vicis Interimo t-shirts, as well as our traditional Miskatonic University t-shirt. Garbage in, garbage out. What have you got to talk about this week?
Oh, no, you're already... Without a warning.
Without a warning.
What was your question?
Well, we're doing our garbage in, garbage out segment.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, what have you been up to? I almost said what you've been watching. That's another podcast.
What you been watching? How you doing? Oh, that's what's her name? Wendy. Anyway, well, let's see. I started listening to Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Yes, cool.
And I'm only familiar with the Disney movie, which I like a lot. This so far, I don't know. I'm not sure what chapter I'm on. 5 or 6, maybe 7.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to remember when you're listening to it. It's quite different, which, of course it would be.
Mm-hmm.
The movie does not even capture, it captures only a fraction of what's going on. So yeah, I look forward to listening to the rest of it.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that, I'm not sure if I talked about it last time, but this was a script that was actually written by Ray Bradbury.
Mm-hmm.
They dumped him, had somebody else come in, and that didn't work at all, so they wound up having Ray Bradbury come back again and finish it up. So he liked this adaptation.
What was the reason for dumping him?
I'm not 100% sure, but
okay.
We'll research that, and like I said, we're going to do an episode devoted to that, so...
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, so far, it's very, it's kind of dark for a Disney movie, you know?
Well, Disney was trying something new, and they were trying to reach a more adult audience.
Right.
And so this was their effort.
Oh, that would certainly do it.
Yeah.
Because, the book even more so.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see where it's going. I know where it's going, but I can't wait to see how it gets there, I guess.
Yeah. What else? We've still got the Olympics to watch, even though it's been over with for a few days now.
Well, it's the closing ceremony. We just haven't caught up on that yet.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do that after this podcast.
Maybe.
What else? We haven't watched our Lost yet for the week.
No.
And we didn't watch Survivor.
No, we didn't.
Nope. In fact, pretty much the only thing I've been doing is watching movies for this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. I have to say, and this is garbage in, garbage out. So yeah, The Terror, I could not finish that, but that's entirely my fault. That was Jamie's suggestion, or the author was Jamie's suggestion, and I probably could get into it, just not right now. The book, The Terror, was 22 hours worth of CD to listen to, and I just don't have the patience for it right now. It seemed good. I wasn't that it seemed boring. within the first couple of chapters, I think already at least 2 or 3 of the characters have been killed. So, yeah, it gets right into the story, so that wasn't a problem. But I just didn't have the time to invest into it mentally either.
Well, now, what is the title that was recommended you?
I don't know. See, you got me. See, you got me this time. I'm always getting you. It's my turn. It's the summer something.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's the one you were supposed to be listening to.
That was it. Yeah, I couldn't find couldn't find anything with that. But yeah, I am definitely going to give that author a chance, and we'll definitely try those stories at another time. I just haven't been able to do that. I even had to put down Something Wicked This Way Comes because, I've been busy at work and because I've got a lot of things going on here with the podcast, a lot of preparation for upcoming shows, some things that we want to do. Actually, that was another thing that I should have talked about maybe in the Late to Rest segment, but I'll go ahead and cover it here. Borp has agreed to do an interview with me. I feel so silly asking those same 5 questions and calling it an interview. I'm not really qualified for that, but at any rate, Borp has agreed to make some time to talk to me to answer the same 5 questions that I was able to ask Jamie and Gonzo and Jason, as well as Jeremy. Jeremy's agreed to do that also. Jeremy, I'm still planning on doing that David Lynch. Jeremy and Gonzo, actually. The 3 of us, we're going to get together and do that David Lynch episode now, especially that I know Gonzo had a chance to see Blue Velvet, so I'm looking forward to talking to him about that. You and I, we're going to do the Something Wicked This Way Comes and Needful Things. Want to tie that in with Something Wicked This Way. Do we need to? We probably should see the movie again after we've heard the story, don't you think?
Probably.
Yeah.
I could use a refresher there.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And what other episodes do we have coming up?
I don't know.
Yeah, neither do I. I was just checking to see if you had something planned.
I have a few ideas.
You do have a few ideas? Well, let's hear them.
Maybe I'm not ready to reveal them.
Well, if you don't tell me what they are, we may never get to them.
Oh. No, yeah, we will.
Okay.
I've got a little list here.
Okay. Well, in the meantime...
I was going to say, it's about time we do a good movie.
Okay, we had a few clunkers in there. Actually, that's a good point. We're actually going to continue on this evening recording, and for episode 16, and that's going to be A Crack in the Floor. And boy, I got some things to say about that, but you're going to have to tune in next week. Come back next week. Same bat channel, same bat time. You can reach us, as always, at Mad Saxon at Yahoo. That's Mad Saxon with 2 X's. At yahoo.com. You can find us on the web at Vicis Interimo at .podomatic.com. VicisInterimo.podomatic.com. And you can find us on Facebook, and that would be Vicis Interimo 30 Minutes to Kill! Exclamation point. Because it's that exciting. At any rate, you can find
sure about that?
I'm not. Actually, it is. It's got a lot of potential there if you folks would like to go there. Click on the tabs across the top. There's actually a discussion tab, and I've thrown a few points up there to discuss. There's a place to discuss the episodes that have already aired, or if you have any notes that you want to throw in there. I've also, actually that was how Ro reached us. She, contacted us through our Vicis Interimo page. And, I think, our Stan, another friend of the show, friend of mine, contacted me and, he sent me a what kind of horror movie are you in quiz. It's kind of interesting read. So, any good stuff that I can find like that, I plan on putting on that page, and we'll use that as a contact point. I tried a WordPress blog that doesn't really suit me or whatever. I'm always on Facebook, so that's where you can find me. Anything else to add, Lori?
No, not this time around.
Okay. Well, I guess I will cut it here then. Thanks for joining us, And tune in next week.
5 names that I can hardly stand to hear, including yours and mine and one more chip who isn't here. I can see the ladies talking how the times are getting hard, and that fearsome excavation on Magnolia Boulevard.